Logitech camera.
It is amazing.
We are live. That is awesome. Hold on, let me get in here.
Ooh, I'm liking this more and more.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. So if you are an accountant, CPA, EA, and looking to grow your firm, this is the place to be. Today, I have a special guest, Ross Jeffries, also the author of Subtle Words That Sell. And we are talking about the 4 best marketing tactics for accountants. That is what's on deck today, because I have been asked by numerous accountants, numerous times, what are the best ways to market their firm? And while you think it might be obvious, sometimes it's not. And without proper marketing techniques, there is no way that your business can really scale or reach your revenues that you're really looking to achieve. So in this episode today, I will give you our 4 main action-oriented techniques that you can put into action to apply to your business today to help grow your firm and market it properly. So welcome, Ross, to the show.
Welcome, Michelle. Always a pleasure to address your genius audience. I have some techniques of my own that I've used to build a business and make a lot of money that cost me 0. So I think some people will be interested in hearing that. I'm not joking around about that. I made quite a lot of money without spending anything.
Well, that is amazing, and I'm so happy that you've made a lot of money. And, in this show, Ross needs to get out of my way at times in order for me to speak and lead the show, because today I thought I would have 2 mics, but I don't have 2 mics because I decided just to work from home today. But what I like to say is without proper marketing, there is no way to show the world how much of a rock star you really are at your expertise. So if you are doing bookkeeping, you're doing tax planning, you're doing tax resolution, you're doing monthly accounting work, you're doing compliance work, if you don't have the proper marketing and messaging, it's really difficult to show all of your clients really what's possible.
Very true. And I think we need to get to a really good definition of marketing. In my mind, marketing is everything you do to position yourself and communicate in such a way that when it comes time to ask for the sale, the person is already there. You've already convinced them, and you don't need to do.
You don't convince them.
Well, you get them to convince themselves. You understand, but they don't have to do. Thank you for that catch. You don't have to do a whole heck of a lot, once you've done the proper marketing.
Okay, so let's talk about our first tip, which I call content marketing. And content marketing is, we'll hear from Ross's point of view what he defines content marketing. But I think for a lot of accountants out there, content marketing is one of the best strategic ways to share with potential clients not only your expertise, but also your niche and your specialty.
I don't disagree with that. Here's the thing on how to create the content. Because many people have the belief that they're not writers, that they can't create. And I want to use something that I've used to make tons of money. I lost a lot of it. But this is from my marketing guru, copywriting guru, Gary Halbert. May he rest in peace. Gary had a technique for writing copy or creating any content he called can it and clone it. And basically what you do is you sit across the kitchen table from a friend of yours and you begin to tell whatever your marketing message is, and you have a little tape recorder. Back then there were just cassettes, and you get it transcribed. And this is the way you create the content, through whatever channel you push it. And the other thing I learned, Michelle, that's a really good lesson for anyone listening, is do your content in the format through the channels that people want to consume it. So let me make that very clear. People tend to learn in 3 styles: visual, auditory, kinesthetic. So for the visual people, you do videos. For the auditory people, you do the auditory portion of the videos. And for the kinesthetic people, you give them a workbook or a cheat sheet or a template. So you can repurpose your content for the various different formats in which you produce it, and then you want to pump it through the different channels. So you don't have to keep recreating the wheel and reinventing yourself each and every time. So that's my take on the tactic that you just gave.
And so just a little bit more on that. Once you clone it,
can it and clone
it, then there's different ways to do that by getting it out to the visual to the auditory people, to the kinesthetic people. A few of the ways that I personally do it, which some of you have seen, is through my podcast, right? So right here on the Abundant Accountant podcast, this is for the auditory people. For the visual people, you can catch it on Facebook Live as well. And for the people that are kinesthetic, what do?
They need to have something. Ooh, it's
The
very nice
visual.
being this close to you. They need something that they can download and work on, to take notes and fill something
I know.
in.
For those of you that need the downloads, you can just go to the show notes and click below, and you can also watch the webinar that will help you, which was our masterclass, and you can do that over at theabundantaccountant.com. In addition to that, if you really want to learn how to sell without sleaze, I have a 5-step system that I also provide to you, complimentary, which is my content marketing at sellwithoutsleaze.com, and you'll get my 5-step system to really remove the stress of selling for good so you can really actually enjoy it. And what I always like to say, Ross, you tell me what you think, but focus on your strongest skills, right? Like, how have you helped your clients? For me, it's all in the area of sales, but maybe how have you helped your clients get their accounting books in order? How did you help them keep their QuickBooks files in pristine order and save them $50,000 in taxes this year? Whatever it was for you, that's a great thing to teach on.
I couldn't agree more. And one way to find that out is to ask your client. Say, hey, of all the great value that we've provided, and I know that you're very happy with it, and I really appreciate our relationship, what do you think of the top 3 things that I've provided that have really made you recognize for yourself, wow, this is a great relationship that I've formed with so-and-so? Get the feedback from them, because chances are it's going to meet your ideal audience. And one of the things I think that's genius about your program, Michelle, and I mean this, you are a genius, you teach people how to work with the ideal clients who they want to work with and screen out the clients very quickly who are going to just use their time and their knowledge and not pay them what they're worth. So that's very, very, very good idea. Very good idea.
Well, thank you, Ross. I am so happy that a fellow genius also sees eye to eye with me. So our second tip that I would like to discuss with each of you tonight, or day, or morning, whenever you're listening to this, is really about capturing your leads. I have seen many accountants not have a really good system for how to capture your leads, which means in general speak, how to build an email list, how to ask for referrals and put them into some follow-up sequence, or how to have meetings with your ideal clients, how to nurture your leads and be consistent in the quality versus the quantity, because you don't need a ton, especially if you have an accounting firm. You're looking for having an abundant accounting firm with the clients that you love. Abundance doesn't always mean quantity. My abundance is all about quality and checking out and how to qualify people who you want to work with.
She's a genius. I heard from someone that you could sell anything to anyone, that you were the best salesperson they've ever met. That's what they told me, that you could sell ice to Eskimo, the person who's circulating around here, whose first name starts with an M. Minnie. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and if you really, do you guys like the crisp, clear visual today? If you are watching this show, so Ian, for the listeners, you can remove this for the podcast part. If you are watching this show, a shout out to Logitech camera. The Brio camera is the way to go. I use it for every single Facebook Live. I use it for every single sales class I teach online on Zoom. I use it for all of my meetings. If you want to get one, head on over to logitech.com/Brio, B-R-I-O. This thing is way worth the investment. Yes, this is a paid sponsored post. Okay, back to the program.
But I think it's cool too. Can you get me one at a discount? Can I get a discount code?
Well, part of the Pitch Queen sales is that we never discount our product.
There we go. I was testing you.
So, especially to all of my accountants listening, you never, ever, ever want to discount your services. That reduces our value and our worth, and that is something we don't want to do.
And may I say one thing? When you discount, you become a commodity like rice. Now you're selling on price, not the value that you're offering. And you've ruined your positioning as someone who's unique and can provide something that the rest of the people out there just cannot or will not provide. So never sell on price. Never, ever, ever, ever. And do not discount. Never.
Ross, can you lead us on to tip number 3? Because a lot of accountants are not big fans, I think, of social media, but I think this is one of the best ways to get your content out there, to connect to the communities, find clients on LinkedIn, maybe join some Facebook groups. And I honestly think Twitter is one of the greatest ways to grow credibility and also find your ideal clients. For example, okay, let me give you an example on Twitter. I might need a new accountant or CPA, and you are wanting to work with high-level entrepreneurs like myself and like Ross Jeffries, maybe even authors like him. One way is to start following us on Twitter and interjecting your knowledge of the tax laws, right? In January of 2018, there were a lot of shifts in the tax laws. And to get your expertise into the ears of entrepreneurs, or I should say eyes, because Twitter is with our eyes, not our ears, it's a great way to create high engagement and interact with us. LinkedIn, it's also a great area. LinkedIn groups, they have over 500,000 people subscribed to the accounting topic. I don't even remember what the stat is for how many taxpayers there are to every accountant that's out there, but the stats are, let me tell you, in your favor. It's just a matter of being consistent. And, Ross, what do you think about that? And what about the accountants who are so busy? They don't have any time. There's always a deadline on the 15th, which is why all new episodes, by the way, for the Abundant Accountant come out on the 1st and the 15th of every month. Guess why? It's payroll days.
All right, I'm going to give a different take on this because the truth of the matter is I don't use a lot of social media, but here's what I do think. I think, and this is not entirely on the topic, but I think you need to have a team of people who can pretty much do this for you. I've had the privilege of having some mentorship from Michelle as she teaches me to be a better entrepreneur. Michelle has fantastic team of people to do a lot of this work and support her. So if you're going to do this, you have to be able to do it on your own for a bit to understand it, but get a team of people who can do this because you don't want to have to do it on your own. That's something that I would say. But also, you can only have so much bandwidth when you start out, so pick one channel and work that channel. I would tend to think that LinkedIn is your best bet. I don't think you're going to find your ideal audience on Instagram. I could be wrong, but I don't think you're going to find your ideal audience on Instagram, nor will you find it on Facebook. That's just my take on it.
Thank you. Thank you for your take. I also agree LinkedIn is definitely where you can find a lot of people like me, or let's say you want to focus on the dental industry. A lot of dentists are on LinkedIn. There's groups. There's also groups on Facebook. This is a way to do it without going to conventions, without going to conferences. That's also another way, but we've discussed that way in the past, so I want to talk about some new ways. The 4th tip, right? We're talking about the best marketing tactics for 2018, 2019, maybe in the beginning, but as the rate of things change here, they change fairly often. But really, how do you create, some passive income streams? I have talked to a few accountants about this, and there are ways to create affiliate accounts. Specifically, one accountant that I was working with, his name is John, and I love his model. So listen up, okay?
I'm listening.
Listen up. He had this model of having a hub and spoke model. So every single client, they went through the exact same payroll. Now, if you keep using the same payroll provider, you can start earning some passive revenue from that provider as a referral fee, as a commission, something like that. Maybe all of your clients use bill.com in order to process their payments and pay out their bills online. Bill.com is a great service, and they also pay out affiliate commissions. But really, this is an opportunity for you to drive high-quality leads into your business by having, number one, referral partners like them, and number two, software that you love to use, right? If you love to use it, then it's a win-win for everybody. Not only can you get new clients from them, but you can also gain additional revenue by signing up for some affiliate programs. I'm not sure if any of you have tried that, but it could be worth it. Also, another great way is to partner up with mortgage providers, lawyers, financial advisors, and as potential clients or referral partners, or the local businesses around you, right? If you think about it, let's say you're like John and he's working mostly with small businesses in the dental arena. The online's great. I know John's even created a few specific niche websites like accounting for dentists, right? I mean, what do you think a dental practice owner would Google? That's what you want to think about. And really building relationships is always what comes first. So let's hear what Ross has to say on this topic because I'm very curious to see what he has to say on tip number 4.
Yeah, let me jump into this very strongly with a strong voice. I don't just mean from volume and the measurement here. What I want to say is this, is when I was first learning to market, I had many mentors, but one of my mentors was a man by the name of Dan Kennedy. Dan's very famous. Some of you may know Dan. He's still around. Dan talked about NEER, N-E-E-R, naturally existing economic relationships. So the idea of you creating a relationship, for example, with a mortgage broker or someone in that field, that industry, is an example of NEER. If you don't do that, you're just throwing money away. So of all those tips, I would say that one is far and away. And as far as you mentioned getting referrals, referring people back and forth, that has to be a reciprocal relationship. If you want referrals from these businesses, you have to turn around and do the same thing. And by the way, when you give referrals, you can't have the mindset of, I gave you 15, now you owe me 15. You can't keep track in that way. It's got to be all the generosity is coming from you, and then you have to see how it goes. You can't be stingy with this sort of thing. And at some point, I also want to talk about a strategy that's not involved in your 4 tips that made me a heck of a lot of money. All right, we'll do a bonus.
Okay, we are going to move on to the bonus strategy because we have a special guest, and our special guests always come with bonuses. And a bonus means that you stayed until the end and listened to the full podcast today.
So if you can do it, I built my first career off of pretty much free publicity. If you want to be someone who is positioned as the expert in your community or the expert nationwide, it's possible to do it. And what you can do is you can write a book. That may seem like a distraction, but writing books, again, use the can it and clone it method. Give it a nice hook, a nice title. And there is, when I first did this, there was a magazine called Radio TV Interview Report. I spent $450 out of my final $500, put the ad on the inside cover, and within a week, when it was published, I was on The Donahue Show, which back then was... Back then, Donahue was like the most popular chat show in the world, and then it went on. That lasted for 3 years, hundreds of radio shows. I wound up making probably about $500,000 in that. Had I spent money, I would have had to spend $20 million in advertising. It cost me $450. So $450. Let's say I made $350,000. You're a genius, Michelle. What's the return on that? You could tell me right in your head, top of your head.
It equals a lot. So Michelle is really good at numbers, but I need an Excel spreadsheet, which is how I have the nickname spreadsheet. But, all of our accountants listening, they can do it really well. But yeah, my name is Spreadsheet. And in order for me to do that kind of ROI percentage calculations, I would put it inside a spreadsheet.
The other thing that you can do also is give local talks. So go to the places where your services would be greatly welcomed and give talks. Give a talk like the 5 biggest tax planning mistakes dentists make. See if you could go to a specific industry like dentists and say, hey, I've got 5 huge mistakes that dentists make when they're, et cetera, et cetera. Get in front of an audience. If you're good in front of an audience, then use that skill. I happen to be a fantastic speaker, as Michelle well knows, so I'm going to use that talent. If you don't have it, don't use it. But if you got it, work it.
Awesome. Thank you, Ross, for that. And I agree. I think that's a great topic for whatever niche you're in. The 5 biggest tax planning mistakes in, veterinarians, the 5 biggest mistakes that people make owning restaurants and opening up multiple locations, the 5 biggest mistakes that people make when they're about to sell their business and they pay an extra in a tax fee. Whatever it is, if you can get out there and share it, that's how you'll attract more people into your firm and getting the clients that you really want to work with. So we have one goal for you, or I have one goal for you. Ross might have another one. But my goal for you is really, how can you implement at least one of these tips that you heard today within the next month? And then also, how can you implement each of these tips by the end of the next 3 to 4 months? If you can do them all in a month, wonderful. But really putting this into action is one of the most important things. Because what I've found is that a lot of times you might be listening and you might be driving right now listening to this, and you might need to go rewind or just click on the show notes below and you'll see a summary of what we talked about. And then you can put this into action right away. Ross?
Here's what I say. Anytime I do any kind of coaching to improve people's excellence, whether it's sales, motivation, etc., I always say this. You want to use language that continues you on the momentum of going to where you want to go. I teach that the mind works on repetition, familiarity, and momentum. So I would like you to use words like choose and claim. I choose my consistency. I choose my accountability. I claim my accountability. I claim my goal and my practice of putting into practice this one tip. Don't make it I should do it, or I want to do it, or I must do it, but make it I claim my action on taking care of this goal. And by the way, a goal without a date is just a dream. I learned that from my mentor, Benji Bruce, who's a speaker coach. So make sure you set a date on it. A goal without a date is just a dream.
Yep,
and
is.
Dreams are nice, but they don't make you cash.
And I learned over this past week that you are blessed to have the opportunity to even own your own business and be able to choose your clients with whoever you want to work with. So be in the blessed opportunity position that you are able to put one of these things into action. It was an honor to have each of you here today. Thank you so much for listening. Hold on. I have a little bit more for you. So let me just stop this audio. Okay. So for those of you that are still watching, this is for you. If you've ever felt like you gave away too much information for free, I don't know. Does any accountant ever do that? Or you're tired of not being paid what you're worth? Then you're probably like many accountants, and you may feel like you're on a cash flow roller coaster. But just so you know, I do have the solution for you. So you can head on over to the Abundant Accountant Masterclass and enroll in that completely free over at theabundantaccountant.com to really learn how to communicate your value, collect higher fees with confidence, and be paid what you're worth so you can work less and ultimately make more money. So once again, visit theabundantaccountant.com. I'd love to see you there. Have an amazing week, night, weekend. and month, and I will see you again in about 2 weeks, or I'll be with you again in about 2 weeks. Have a great night.
Peace. Peace out, everybody.
Thank you, Logitech camera.
It's a great camera. I need to get one.
Yeah, look at the crisp quality.
It's amazing. They still watch.